crowns, taking names, kicking ass. All over the place. Hello and welcome to the Wrestle Ramble review of Taking Names, Stomping Ground, Kicking Ass 2019.
Ass Names Kick Ground.
Well, we'll be talking about Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. Did you know they were a couple? I didn't until Michael Cole told me 100 times over the course of this event. Teaming together, it seems, to take on the new mid-card of existential angst, Lacey Evans and Baron Corbin. I'm Ollie Davis. This is Chopper Pete Quinnell. Please press the thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, leave us a comment down below, and we're sponsored by the WrestleTalk Almanac, our own magazine. An amazing 168-page full-colour booklet of plenty and plenty of stats. So go over and pre-order your copy now. And we are also joined by Randy Andy Datson from WrestleTalk.com, who will be taking your super chats.
Super chats.
Which we'll get to after the first discussion point. So, this all started with Becky Lynch and Lacey Evans kicking off the show. Opening the main card because obviously the Cruiserweight match was on the pre-show.
Of course.
For the Raw Women's Championship. And they had a fine match.
Yeah, it was fine. They told a really nice story throughout it. It might not have been like a technical masterpiece or anything, but they told a story really well from the off, which is Lynch will out-wrestle Evans because she just can't hang with her. And they told that story through the whole match, and it was a good story to tell. It made sense. It worked. It was really effective. Evans was fine. Lynch was also fine. I think Lynch carried the match for sure. But yeah, there was some nice bits in there. There was Lynch obviously got in a lot of offense. Like I said, she just kind of out-wrestled Evans for a lot of it, and that was the story they were telling, was Evans just can't hang. Yeah, it built really well, and Lynch just made her tap out, and that was how it should be, really. Lynch just retained because she's just better.
That's how it should have been for their first encounter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then Becky moves on to a more worthwhile established opponent like an Asuka or a Bayley or a Charlotte again. But no, this is Becky beat Lacey Evans decisively. I would argue there are a few more definitive finishes than someone tapping out someone clean.
Yeah. And it was
especially so quickly. As soon as the disarmer was locked on, Lacey tapped.
Yeah, exactly. It was instantaneous. It was literally, and she was kind of in like an all-four position. Becky literally like sat on her arm, and just went, nope, pull, tap. It was instantaneous, like really quick. So yeah, it was, don't see how Lacey Evans will be getting another championship shot. I mean, there's no way they could build some sort of story to have Evans fight her again, right?
Yeah. So this is the problem. And so we'll get this out of the way first. I really enjoyed the first 2 hours of the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Even the Reigns match, which I've seen some people be like, oh, but Shane McMahon, and I agree with you there. But I was in a good mood after the first 90 minutes, I would argue.
Yeah. I was having fun.
And I enjoyed this match as well, partly because the Washington crowd added half a star to everything. I think maybe WWE should have attendance crises more often. Because what seemed to happen was that only people who were there were the most committed, dedicated wrestling fans, which are us.
It's the NXT audience.
It's the NXT audience. And because you didn't have them diluted by 10,000 kids and their parents, you just got a really super hot crowd.
Yeah. I mean, they probably had to crank those mics up a little bit because it would probably be a bit quieter than normal. But they were like, "Hey, let's make sure we hit these like 300 people that are here. Let's turn them right up so they sound like a normal crowd." But worked very well. It sounded like a really hot crowd pretty much throughout the entire event.
Yeah, great crowd all the way through.
Yeah.
So what happened, unfortunately, was that the end of the pay-per-view, and WWE do this all the time, you'd be like, oh my God, is this going to be the surprise hit of the year?
The Great Balls of Fire of 2019?
Yeah, and then, Brock Lesnar returns and wins the Money in the Bank, or Goldberg Undertaker happens. Not that Super Showdown was anywhere near being a good show before them. But they do these sorts of things, and they just couldn't help themselves here. The main event was Baron Corbin and Seth Rollins, and it was all built around either Brock Lesnar cashing in, which they teased earlier in the night when Paul Heyman walked out of Corbin's office. I assume they struck a deal. I'm just trying to explain kayfabe-wise, where Brock wouldn't cash in if Baron won. But that
Sure.
that doesn't make any sense.
No.
I'm pretty sure they just did it to keep that plate spinning in your head.
Yeah, I reckon they probably did it to have this easy, be like, maybe Brock's here, but they don't have a reason, an actual kayfabe reason for Heyman being there or being in Baron Corbin's office.
Yeah.
I think if they made, maybe there was an offer of an agreement and Heyman turned it down, but who can say? I mean, it doesn't play into anything for the rest of the night, so.
Heyman is definitely a cheaper booking, I think,
than Lesnar.
than
yeah.
Lesnar.
Yeah.
And the other question was, who is this special guest referee picked by Baron Corbin going to be? And, we were speculating it could be Brock, even though that doesn't make any sense because
at all.
Brock would just beat him afterwards. He's got the briefcase. Or it could be Shane McMahon.
Yeah.
Really don't care for that either.
Nope, not at all.
WWE managed to find a worse one, which was Lacey Evans coming out in a sort of referee version of what she usually wears. Mm-hmm. And it was just, it felt like an episode of Raw. Not a good episode of Raw. It's just like an end throwaway, we don't really know what to do this week, conclusion to Raw.
Yeah, it wasn't very great. I mean, I made a note. As soon as the match started, I was like, I am so ready for this ref to be anticlimactic. Because I knew it wasn't going to be. The more the show went on, I was like, because I predicted it was going to be Shane in the Wrestle League predictions. And the more the night went on, I was like, okay, it's not going to be Shane. They've tied him up in all this Reign stuff, and they've got him furthering that on Raw tomorrow. So, like, I don't think it's going to be Shane now. So I was like, I don't know who it can be at this point, because I don't think it's going to be Lesnar. And then as soon as Seth Rollins comes out and the commentary team said, earlier in the night, Seth Rollins' girlfriend, Becky Lynch, she retained her Raw Women's Championship. And I was like, oh, God, it's going to be Lacey Evans.
Yeah.
It's totally going to be Lacey Evans. And sure enough, Corbin introduced the sassy Southern Belle, Lacey Evans.
Corey Graves went crazy. He said the sassiest referee. I was like, you're making me hate it even more. I know you're the heel ref, but this is go away heat of the strongest degree.
Was bad.
And like the one that twigged for me wasn't them saying, Becky Lynch is Seth Rollins' girlfriend, blah blah blah. I'm dumb usually when I watch wrestling shows, so I didn't see that coming. Mm-hmm. But it was when Michael Cole, in the Universal Champion's entrance, said, that's Becky Lynch's boyfriend. And I thought, come on. That makes him sound like a kid from another school.
Yeah.
Like I know Becky and Becky Lynch's boyfriend from St. Olave's down in Orpington. He couldn't have made him sound more lame. Yeah. And it's Michael Cole saying it, so it's already very lame.
Yeah,
and you know what's really lame and what doesn't make something a moment? Michael Cole saying, what a moment! He did that. Anyway, I enjoyed the show.
Yes, we're getting all the negative parts out the way now, so that later on we can just be positive about things. But yeah, this was. I will give them credit. Lacey Evans wouldn't have been my first choice. Let's put it that way. We constantly bemoan them not making logical sense with this. Lacey Evans makes logical sense. Because, one, she's someone that Seth Rollins will not beat up with a chair before the match starts.
I was hoping. I thought he might for a moment there.
That would have
go ECW one night stand.
Oh, yeah, that
pile
would have
driver
been
into the chair.
God, that would have been something. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, in current WWE world, it would make sense that Evans is the one person, or one of the people, that Rollins will not beat up with a chair before the match starts. And she actually has an interest in Rollins losing because she wants to get back at Lynch.
Yes.
That makes kayfabe sense, and I will give them credit for picking someone that makes sense rather than generic heel number 3, because that would have been probably much worse.
That's where we're at, Pete.
Yeah.
We're applauding WWE for just making sense.
Yeah, so having said that, I'll give them credit for making sense, because we complain a lot about them not making sense. So for once, they made sense. However, it's still bad. It doesn't stop it from being anticlimactic. It doesn't stop it from being really a boring end to the show. I mean, Lacey was not great as the ref either. I mean, most of the match, she was just kind of walking around the ring, not doing much. And then there was occasionally the couple of story beats that she had to hit, which was just her, doing slow counts for Rollins and not counting out Baron and stopping a count at 2 because, her arm hurt. Those like story beats that she had to, and the rest of the time she was just kind of there. She wasn't really doing her character through the match, I thought, apart from being like, get up.
Where's the hanky?
Yeah, there was nothing from that. I thought it was a boring choice.
Yeah, when the main criticism about Baron Corbin is that he doesn't feel like a main event talent guy and he's being pushed in a main event slot, the way to get around that isn't to do the same with the female equivalent. And that's what they've done. They just compounded this problem of a lack of star power on Raw. And the structure of the match that you were talking about there, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Look, if that's the story you're going with, okay. Just whatever, we're here. But to then draw that out of, no, I'm going to change the rules to no countouts when Baron Corbin was put through a table, which was a cool spot.
Yeah.
When Seth Rollins powerbombed him through it.
Absolutely.
Or it's a no DQ match now because Baron's using a chair. Like, you could just shrink that down to 10 minutes and it's going to be better. 15 minutes, I got very bored. And you start to ask, when you're bored, you just start to ask questions about logic. Like,
exactly.
Why isn't Becky down here? Why isn't Becky just at ringside? And I think that would have been a more dramatic element to the match if Becky's at ringside, like shouting, and Lacey's going, no, if you get involved, I'll DQ him. And it's also titles can change hands on a DQ, or just do something like that.
Yeah.
Although I wasn't a fan of the referee suddenly having the power of an authority figure.
Yeah. We're not going to talk about
you
logic.
Made sense in that one little bit, WWE.
That's it. That one decision you made for Evans made sense. The rest of it, nah. But then it gets to later on in the match, and Evans is changing the rules and making it so there's no countouts, no DQs. As soon as she made it no DQs, I was like, right, so this is the point where Lynch comes out and attacks her, right?
Yes.
Because I was like, probably she hasn't come out before because she's worried of getting Seth DQ'd. That's fair enough. I could see that logic. Soon as she made it a no DQ match, I was like, right, so where's Lynch?
Yeah, because
Nowhere to be found.
Becky's smart as a character.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's like, if as soon as she goes no DQ, and then that's a really nice comeuppance for Lacey trying to cheat one too many times and getting an immediate receipt for it. But
exactly,
it didn't happen.
And then it didn't happen. So then Rollins got beaten down some more with the chair and stuff, and then we were waiting for another few minutes before anything happened. He hit a Falcon Arrow onto a chair on Baron, which again was a cool spot. And that's when Evans did her slow 2 count, then stopped at the 2 count. Ooh, my arm, which I sort of liked because it plays off the disarm her from earlier. She was like,
that's a good point.
Really hurt my arm because, your girlfriend, what's she like? Although she didn't actually say that, I was kind of...
You got to make
I was adding my own story onto it, but then, after that, finally, is when Lynch runs down. After Baron manages to get into... Sorry, I missed out a whole story beat there. When Rollins and Evans get face-to-face, and Evans is kind of mouthing off. Rollins looks like he wants to, get aggressive about it, but he knows he can't. So Lacey slaps him.
And?
I'm getting there. Lacey slaps him, and he's like, come on. Hit me again. Do it. Bump. And then, taking a page out of Shinsuke Nakamura's book, bonk.
Or Seth Rollins' book.
Seth Rollins,
Yeah, that does make a lot more
Lesnar.
sense. Yeah, that makes more sense.
It's a heel act when Lacey does it. But that's so late. So Becky doesn't care for Seth Rollins' personality. It is purely that magnificent member that has been spread around the internet that she's concerned about.
Of course, yeah, that's all that matters. That's when she came down to make the save after the low blow and after an end of days from Baron Corbin, looking like he was going to win. Then Lynch comes down, beats up Evans on the outside. More referees come down to try and pull Lynch and Evans apart. And we get the same referee from Super Showdown, John Cone from Rollins and Corbin's match at Super Showdown.
More famous for being the father of Nicholas.
Of course, yeah. He gets in the ring, and Corbin's like, whoa, it's you. Cool, anyway. And then he goes to End of Days, Rollins again. Rollins counters it, hits a super kick, hits a stomp, and then John Cone counts the victory, even though he wasn't the official who was in charge of the match.
Well, they do that all the time, though.
Yeah, I guess. It's just
of all the things to pick holes, that was
yeah, that's true.
that was quite consistent with what
Yeah.
WWE usually do.
That's true.
Then you just had like I think about 4 minutes of Becky and Seth hugging in the ring, but only
Yeah.
hugging a little bit, and then they'll pose with their arms up, and then hugging. And I don't think they have any sexual chemistry.
Yeah. I don't think Lynch is comfortable doing their romance in public. Because to me, from like documentaries that I've seen and what she said in the past, it seems like she's quite a private person with her personal life. She's quite a private person. So I'm wondering whether she doesn't want to do this whole boyfriend-girlfriend angle. She's like, hey, that's my private life, stop it. Because to me, she looked quite awkward during this bit. And she was like, I don't want to do that. I'll give you a hug, yeah, pat on the back. And
Well, I guess
Cool,
she's
can
also
we leave
trying
now?
to stay being the man.
Exactly,
And
yeah.
she helped, like, she leant down on the ropes for Rollins to get out, which,
Which
know,
was
back in the
nice.
day was usually something men would do for women. So, yeah, that was all good. I think it's more of a case that they, some people they might very much be in love backstage, but sometimes in front of the camera, you can't get that across. And I didn't really get anything. Like, I didn't find them endearing as an act together.
No,
Like, this
not really.
isn't... It's cool that they're together, that they're together, but Jon Snow, Kit Harington, and Emilia Clarke, Daenerys Targaryen from Game of Thrones, they had no sexual chemistry.
Not at all.
Awesome characters by themselves, but they just, something didn't work about them, and it wasn't just because they were kind of related. So I don't know what it is. Look, so what we've got now, and that's what the title of this video is Rollins and Lynch going against Lacey and Baron.
Yay.
I'm not I really like both Becky and Seth individually, but I think it might be one of those cases where they're going to be less than the sum of their parts.
Absolutely.
When they're together. And I really don't want to listen to Michael Cole ramming all of these what a moment stuff, which I can just see them doing. And this is Seth Rollins' girlfriend, or this is Becky Lynch's boyfriend. It's going to take away and get very annoying very fast. And on the other side, it's not like their opponents are this grand all-conquering force. Becky has beaten Lacey decisively twice. Seth has beaten Baron decisively twice. And in the most recent example, when the odds were massively stacked against him. So what interest do I have in seeing a tag match between the two sides?
There is no interest. I think the only interesting part of this for people who are fans of Rollins and Lynch is like, you get to see them wrestle as a couple. Isn't that great? So they've put together their last two opponents. It's like a house show match. That's what that is.
Yeah,
it's a house
very
show
similar,
match.
yeah.
When they just say, here's these two guys you want to see. We'll put them in a tag match, and then we'll put the people they're feuding with in a tag team to face against them. This is all that is. And I think that's probably the direction they're going to be going for Extreme Rules.
Oh, yeah.
Which is really not great, because then what do they do after that? Because that's probably not going to be the culmination of either feud, which means we go on to SummerSlam and Rollins versus Corbin rematch and Evans versus Lynch rematch again.
I can't believe I prefer the Shane McMahon Baron Corbin versus Roman Reigns Seth Rollins option. I can't believe that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
That's we will be positive from this point forth,
Yeah.
because I personally enjoyed the rest of the show.
I did too.
So let's get over to your 5 minutes of super chats.
Yes, quickly. Did you notice that Lacey?
Your camera didn't
Camera
switch.
didn't switch. I think.
There
Yeah.
you
there
Did you
we
notice
go.
that Lacey sold the wrong arm?
Did she really?
No.
Yeah, she did.
Nice.
Oh, what a dastardly heel.
See, I was
And also-
I was adding the own story, but I did it wrong.
You pointed out that Becky wouldn't want Seth DQ'd. Why not? Because he would have kept the belt.
Noble babyface.
Exactly. Yeah. She wants to let him win.
Fine. Sean Turner, however, starts off our super chats. You'll recognise that name as Bayley Sting Creator. He
Nice.
says, "Out of money pit, kinda glad to be back, guys." We're
You were
glad
barely
to-
gone.
I know, that's what I
Were
thought.
you gone? I mean, welcome back.
Yeah, welcome
It's
back. Lovely
Nice
to
to
have
see
you.
you again,
Yeah.
but were you gone?
I'm so glad the Bayley Sting stuff is not going away.
Yeah.
Speaking of welcome backs, Luke will be back tomorrow.
He will.
Vernon Jeffries says, "I think Ollie's nightmare of Baron Corbin's mid-card of evil affecting the women's division is coming true."
That's what I said in my review that's going to come up later. Yeah, they've merged.
Oh no!
I was looking in the wrong direction. I thought
Exactly.
it was going to be Shane.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Dolph's
too,
there
but
like, it should have been me.
it should have been me.
Small Afro Games, who is?
Jaron Walker.
Walker.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Can Ridge Wallet escape Baron Corbin's mid-card vortex?
Absolutely
Ridge
not.
Wallet is the only thing that can because of its RFID blocking technology. So everyone should invest in one of those fantastic wallets.
They should.
Sean Turner back in again, says, I have this new tech to seal chip information on live streams, but I can't do it here. Is this black magic or a sweet wallet with special promo?
I love how everyone's doing our promo work for us. It's got to be that sweet wallet, The Ridge.
Absolutely,
Head over to theridge.com/WrestleTalk. .com /WrestleTalk.
Exactly. Use the promo code WrestleTalk for 10% off your first order and free worldwide shipping.
Free worldwide shipping?
Crazy.
Oh my God.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Anthony Smith says, my mate John cried when Corbin didn't win.
Was he a fan?
We'll have to find out, but that is...
I cried for different reasons.
Yeah. Zach, $2 super chat. Lindner says Lacey was assimilated by the Baron. I think we're going to get a lot of these today.
Yeah, she was.
And you don't get assimilated. You get sucked in. By the way,
Nothing can escape the pull.
Yeah, but Baron's not a Borg. He is a black hole of booking.
Rosie Snores suggesting that Ronda could have been the ref, which would have led to a match at SummerSlam.
With Baron?
With anyone. doesn't say who.
I guess that makes sense.
That would have probably been the only good idea.
Yeah. Because I think you have a similar justification and motivation to Evans in that she wants to see Lynch lose. Because I kind of forgot, actually, that she left as a heel. That would make sense. Because I was thinking, but she's a babyface. How would that work? Yeah, but no, that would actually work.
I think that's an excellent idea.
Becky did the armbar. Did you see Michael Cole calling a normal armbar the disarmer for like 8 times in a row as well?
Yeah, it was really annoying.
Chris Field says, hey guys, I found Stomping Grounds kind of boring. What did y'all think about Lacey Evans as guest referee? I loved it.
Wow. I mean... I'm sure the 6 people that predicted Lacey Evans to be the referee in Wrestle League were very happy about that. I wasn't. I mean, we've already discussed it, so.
Yeah, what are the standings at the moment?
The standings are, just the office standings.
Give us the office standings and tell us also who's number one overall.
Well, the office standings are me with 55. Then I believe it is you on 49.
Yes.
Laurie jumped up massively.
He did.
Got 9 out of 10.
He did. Laurie jumped up to 41.
No, that's wrong. 48.
48. Sorry, yeah, 48.
Is it on Discord? Where was it? It's probably better you just find it.
It's in WhatsApp.
Let's move on with the next one. Then
But
we'll get back on
Simon is at the bottom by a long way. Tim Arndt says, guys, I suspect something about WWE, but I just want to check with you to make sure I'm right. Are Becky and Seth a couple?
That would explain a lot.
I don't know, honestly. You could take it any number of ways.
They didn't kiss.
No.
I found it weird they didn't kiss.
That's kind of what triggered to me. I was like, I don't think Lynch is comfortable here. Like, I think they held it for so long because they were like, okay, so now this is the part where they kiss. And it was like, but they didn't. So I was like, we'll hug again and then just wait for them to kiss. They'll kiss eventually. And then they just didn't. And they were like, I guess they'll leave now.
Yeah. I grew up with Edge and Lita.
Exactly, yeah.
My barometer for sort of public displays of affection is way off.
Yeah. Wheel a bed in.
Yeah.
So it is, I'm on 55, you are 49, Laurie 48, Pete 43, Luke 41, and Simon 39.
I'm way too close to the bottom.
How did Luke get his Stomping Grounds predictions in?
He did them yesterday morning. I sent him the form.
Really? Yeah, he did.
I sent him the form on WhatsApp, and he'd said, I've guessed.
From Peru.
Yeah, because he has no idea of the stories in the last 2 weeks, which is the entirety from Super Showdown to
that's
Stomping Grounds.
That's Luke's downfall, is that he tries to focus on the story too much.
Yeah.
So because he
did
hasn't
really
been able
well
to do
without
that.
And that's why he does so well at Impact, because he doesn't know what's happening. That's his key.
Yes. Let's do one more then for now. Jobber JJ, Ollie Davis, #1 fan, says, hello everyone, thoughts on the 24/7 title wedding?
Yeah, that was really funny.
Thought it was, hilarious. Absolutely loved it. I love Drake Maverick. I think he's hilarious, and his selling of it was great. And like the tweets he did afterwards were fantastic. His wife getting in on it and tweeting that she wants a divorce now. I thought that was it's great. Yeah, I loved it.
It's really funny. I can't believe they did it for their shoot wedding.
Yeah, I know. Actual wedding.
I wouldn't do that.
No.
I reckon they must have got married first and then...
I don't know.
And then
They're
done
wrestlers,
it, done
man.
it again.
They probably love that
they're
stuff.
both wrestlers. Like, she's a wrestler as well. She was in the Mae Young Classic.
All right.
So, like, maybe she's in on it too. Like, she was like, yeah, let's just do it. I mean, to be fair, it's a memorable wedding.
Yeah.
So,
Wrestling
why not, right?
weddings, there's a rich tradition now of segments.
Absolutely.
Which is a shame they just didn't do it in the ring.
Yeah, I know.
Or on SmackDown. Okay, so the main... Well, no, the pre-show. The only match there was a few... Did you watch any of the little segmenty bits?
Not at all.
There wasn't anything really to write home about. But the opening three-way was Tony Nese versus Akira Tozawa versus Drew Gulak for the Cruiserweight title. What a match.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
Possibly match of the night, I'd say.
Ooh, so, yeah, it's not for me. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But everyone, all the multi-person matches I thought were terrific.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
tag matches and this. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it was... Usually, the cruiserweight matches suffer from having to win the crowd over. But because the crowd was so good from the get-go, and according to Brian Alvarez from Wrestling Observer Live, who was there, he said because it was the hardcore audience, they were all there for the pre-show. Mm-hmm. So you didn't have people filtering in still. Most of the audience were there for this 205 Live match. Mm-hmm. And singles 205 Live matches are usually very, very good and very fast-paced. And what you got here was an extra person, which allowed it to be faster. And you could do more inventive moves because there's three of them and they can all do flips. I thought it was terrific.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic stuff. I mean, so just some of the highlights. There was an amazing spot where Nese rolled up Tozawa into a pin and then hit a German suplex onto Gulak at the same time. And it all just looked so smooth. It was like just transitioning to this and German suplex them, and then he pinned both of them at the same time. They both kicked out, but it just looked amazing. So cool. There's a bit where Nese hits a super kick to Gulak on the outside, and then Tozawa dives onto him out of nowhere, and then runs off the apron and sentons onto Gulak as well. And I was like, what is going... There's just so much stuff just all over the place. It was great. Like I said, the crowd was super hot for it. Nese hit a fireman gutbuster, like a GTS, but into like a gutbuster for a near fall. It was great. Gulak lent Nese through the ropes and then suplexed Tozawa onto him, which I thought was awesome. It's like there's so much stuff that was like risky but not risky, because you're just suplexing him onto a person. It's not that dangerous, but it just looks dangerous. Those are my favorite spots, the stuff that's not dangerous but looks a lot more dangerous than it is. Some awesome stuff back and forth again. Drew Gulak gets in the Gulak, and Tozawa hits a senton from the top rope to break it up. That was really, really high. Like, because you don't see it at first because the camera's just focused on the actual action.
Yeah, it was only on the replay that you saw what was happening.
Exactly, yeah. And he just came out of nowhere and just boom, just broke it up. And then on the replay, you saw it go about 17 miles of airtime before he came down. It was great. Nese hit a springboard moonsault, which unfortunately went onto Gulak's knees, but still was cool. Nese missed a 450, and then Gulak goes for a move, but then Nese hits like a reverse like package pile driver thing and drives me down straight on his head, and I was like, ow, that looked like it really, really hurt. But then Tozawa immediately hit a Shining Wizard straight after that onto Nese. I was like, there's just so much stuff happening. This is so much fun. I struggled to keep up with my notes.
It was fast-paced.
It was very, very fast-paced.
And the finish came just as the whole match was, really. So big move, and then the third person who wasn't in the big move broke up the pin.
Yep.
But it happened. The last one was where Gulak got Tony Nese after Tony Nese hit his finisher on Tozawa.
Yep.
Nese was thrown out the ring, and Gulak pinned Tozawa for the win. Mm-hmm. So we got a new Cruiserweight champion, and I presume that sets up Gulak versus Nese for
Yeah.
the next rivalry because Nice never lost, at least Nice was never pinned at least to lose his title.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a fantastic way to kick off the show.
Yeah, it
I
was
think all
awesome.
205 Live matches should be in Washington from now on and multi-man.
Absolutely, yeah.
And then we got an opening video package. Have they used this song for any other bit of marketing yet? So that they did
Don't
Nancy
know.
Sinatra's "These Boots Are Made for Walking."
That's just what they'll do, etc.
That's a great idea for Stomping Grounds, especially with Lacey Evans in the mix of the featured matches.
I hated it, but
Did
you
you?
know, yeah. I thought
was
it was
surprised.
it was really like. It didn't sell the fact that this was a wrestling show. It was just like some people talking about boots and walking, and then occasionally you could see Reigns just going like, ooh, wow, or something in the background.
Ooh-ah.
And then it was just like... Also, one bit that got me in the video package was they actually put a cocking sound onto Reigns doing that. It went as he did it, and I was like,
Pew, pew.
oh, they did it. Well...
I hope they do that in the matches now. Have a Foley artist
I was going
on
to say,
standby.
it's like the Ricochet sound effect, but they'll play it when Reigns does his fist cocking. But yeah, it was fine. Like, as always, the video packages are all right. Like, they made the feuds look a lot more coherent than they actually were.
Oh my god, yeah,
So much
especially
more
the
so.
Bayley Bliss one we've come on to.
Yeah. And then it was... But I just figured that the song wasn't great. It kind of took me out of it, but...
The first match of the main card, we've already spoken about it, was Lynch versus Evans. Then we got a Mustafa Ali video package
Yeah.
where
This was weird.
Right, so here's what happened. It was in the same visual style that he did his really cool promos before, where it's kind of a shallow depth of field with the camera, and it's following him around and things are out of focus, and it's quite poetic. He's doing a sort of monologue, kind of like, I'm nice Batman. I patrol
Yeah.
the streets of wherever, and I help people by inspiring them. That was pretty... It was actually very well done. I'm making it sound very hokey. But that was the basic message of his promo. And the montage was him walking around, and then a woman would go to drink a beer and see him and then pour the beer away. And then there was a guy getting mugged, and Ali just walked up behind them. And then a man was sort of roughhousing his girlfriend, and Ali just walked up behind them. And after a while, it did come off a little silly because Ali didn't look like he was helping. Was that what you got from it? Yeah. And then it's like he's seen this town ridden with crime, and he just sits back on a bench at the end of it. It's like, I don't think you're getting across the message that you think you are.
But just his presence, he's just inspiring them.
Yeah.
That's all it is. You just need to take control of your own lives. He's just there to inspire you to do it yourself. That's all it is.
I know what they were going for, and I agree with that idea, and they were close, but they needed to show Ali intervening in these
a little
many
bit.
crimes he was watching.
And also, I think it might have worked better if it wasn't so literal. If Ali was like, I help inspire people, and I'm going around and helping people when they can't help themselves or something like that. That's cool. To be like, I will stop alcoholism. It's like, aren't you a wrestler?
Wow, you're good.
You're not a superhero. You're a wrestler, right?
I'll stop domestic violence. Kapow,
Yeah,
cured.
it's literally that. I was like, that's a bit on the nose. Like, I think if it was a bit more metaphorical rather than just like, this is literally a person pouring away a beer, I think it might have worked a bit better for me. But
I didn't think it was alcoholism. I just think it was, you're not allowed to drink in the street.
oh
So
yeah,
just pour it
could
away.
be. Yeah, maybe that.
He's yeah.
Some of the acting was a bit off as well from the actors they'd hired for that skit.
I liked it. I liked it. It just didn't play 100% effectively.
Yeah.
I forgot about this. So next up was the Paul Heyman coming out of Baron Corbin's locker room.
Yes.
Now, Corbin actually came out after this to reveal he's chosen his special guest referee.
Mm-hmm.
And I only realised this when I read back my notes, but there was a clue to who it would be.
Oh,
Because
really?
he said they'll call it right down the middle for no favours.
Oh,
And carrying the
okay.
favour of Vince McMahon, the backstage favours, that's something Lacey Evans would say.
The more you know.
Anyway, next up, my match of the night. I thought this was absolutely spectacular. Flawless match. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus The New Day.
It was
the
awesome.
only thing I'd change would make it mean something. Everything else was on fire. Because on Tuesday, there was a 2 out of 3 falls match for the main event with Sami and Kevin against Seth and Kofi. You know, Kofi being part of The New Day. And I think it was Kofi who pinned Zayn immediately.
Yeah.
So first fall, done immediately. How did Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn start off this match? Owens runs over to Big E, knocks him off the apron, runs back to Xavier Woods, super kick, super kick, super kick, super kick, pin, kick out, tags in Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn, Blue Thunder Bomb, pin, kick out, tags in Kevin Owens, Bullfrog Splash, pin, kick out. I was like, yes! This is great strategy. Like, it makes sense from a heel perspective and where they're at in their characters. And it provides an excellent story for the match because Xavier, so good at being an underdog, selling in peril. He's there as your babyface getting worked over. You're building to the Big E tag. Oh, I thought this was incredibly effective.
Yeah, this was an awesome, awesome start to the match. And even after all those moves had been hit, which was in very quick sequence, like it was literally super kick, get up, super kick, get up, super kick. It was really, really quick. And the tags, and then another move, tag, another move. And then after that, even when the pace started to slow down a little bit, Woods was in the corner and Big E started to get back on the ropes. Owens went over to him, taunted him, and then ran and did a cannonball straight away. There was no wasted movement in the first 5 minutes of this match. It was just hot straight from the get-go. And of course, like we mentioned, with the hot crowd, obviously super into this. Yeah. So it just made it even better with the added atmosphere as well. It was fantastic. And then Owens and Zayn started dismantling Woods for a little while afterwards, doing, I wouldn't say generic heel stuff because it wasn't just like rest holds and all that stuff. They were still doing some inventive stuff.
It was all really engaging, yeah.
It was an engaging beatdown, which can happen. It's not it's not just rest holds and stuff all the time. It can work. But Zayn locks in a crossface on Woods at one point, which was really cool. Woods rolled him up to force the break. And then Woods kicks Owens, but Zayn hits Big E off the apron. And then Woods hit a belly-to-back suplex, and Zayn tags in Owens, and then he misses a senton. And then it was like, oh, Woods is starting to come back. And all the time they're trying to hit one more move on him, and then he'd counter that, and then he'd dodge out the way, or he'd counter another one. And I was like, come on, Woods, go, get the hot tag. And eventually, huge Big E hot tag. My goodness, this was awesome. Because Big E hot tags are always great anyway. But then he came in with extra fire. And you can see, because he'd been knocked off the apron not too long before. And you can see, as he was getting back on the ropes, he dropped all the goofiness and stuff. And he was standing there. He was angry. Yeah. And you could see him on the ropes. And the commentary played it up. And the crowd, you could see, were getting into it. Because Big E came back on the apron just right, time to F some S up. Let's do this. You done F'd up, boy. You done F'd up. So as Woods tagged him in, he comes in, throws suplexes everywhere like he normally does. Looks awesome. Zayn hits a boot on Big E in the corner, goes for a tornado DDT. Big E throws him off and then hits a giant Uranagi on him. I was like, oh, this is so awesome. Love it. Yeah, some more really cool stuff after it. There was a really well-timed spot where the New Day go for the up, down, down finish. Still don't like that name, but... and then Zayn pushes Big E into the ring post, and then Woods dives off into a boot from Zayn. Zayn, so quick, because Woods was on the top rope looking to jump off for the up, down, down, pushes Big E into the ropes, so Woods jumped off to avoid Big E hitting him, and then immediately Zayn got his boot up to hit him in the face as he jumped off. So well timed. It looked amazing from there.
Was that the haluva kick spot?
No, that was just a big boot.
I thought that was, in terms of near falls, that was the best part of the match.
Absolutely.
Where it was a near fall onto Woods, Big E was outside, and then Xavier stumbled out of the corner straight into a pop-up powerbomb from Owens. And then, I thought that was it. But Big E slid in at the last minute, broke it up. And then Big E took out Sami on the apron with his terrifying dive that is going to break his neck one day.
Scares me.
And Owens hits a stunner for the win.
Yeah.
Just a great drama, the right result as well, because Owens and Zayn need a win.
Yeah.
They've lost everything.
Yeah.
Individually and together. And seeing this shows how great they can be as an effective tag team act.
Yeah.
And it also sows the seeds of, the New Day lost here. Maybe Kofi might not be so lucky later on either. But I just thought, watching Zayn and Owens here, the New Day, Bryan and Rowan, that's that's like a golden tag division that SmackDown can have.
Really is, yeah. And I mean, this was so much fun. And like you said, right people won. I mean, I predicted the New Day to win, but after I predicted, I was like, really should have gone for Owens and Zayn there, because it made so much sense. And it looks like they might be having Owens, although I probably wouldn't want to see it again, they might be having Owens challenge Kingston again as like his next challenger. So I think this would be a good way to start building him up as like, hey, I beat your New Day buddies. You're next, kind of thing. Yeah. That could be a way for them to write the story in. Because obviously they wanted to do that feud at Super Showdown, but Owens didn't go to Saudi Arabia, so
Owens
they put
had ethics.
yeah. Screw him for being moral. And then, so they shoved in Dolph Ziggler as a replacement, which hopefully finished their feud now at Stomping Grounds. So hopefully Ziggler goes away again, or goes on to another feud if he's sticking around. And then they can have Owens go back and, I guess, finish their feud that they never really got to finish.
After that, we got a backstage thing with Alexa and Nikki Cross talking about how mean Bayley is. And then we got Ricochet versus Samoa Joe, which, while not a spectacular match, was really, really solid.
Really fun.
I was so impressed with how real everything looked. Even in the slow-mo replays, they showed, like, the two that spring to mind are a Samoa Joe forearm and the Ricochet and Ziguri. They looked real.
Yeah, they looked awesome. Like, these guys wrestled not stiff, because they didn't, like, actually kick each other, but, like...
I don't know.
But, I mean, I think that there's a difference between, like, really stiff wrestling and just, like, connecting with a move, I think. Because when he hit the forearm, he's still hitting it in, like, the soft part of the neck, so he's not actually, like, punching him in the face, but, like, it still looked brutal when he came in. Just from the speed and size of Joe when he comes in with a forearm, it looks awesome, even on a slow-mo replay, because you're like, yeah, he just got hit, like, really, really hard. It looked awesome. And these guys told a really great story as well throughout it. And Ricochet's selling in this match, I thought was absolutely incredible. Like, just a couple of things. Like, there was, I think Samoa Joe hit, like, a back elbow or something like that. And Ricochet just dropped. Like, literally, his head just went straight to the mat. It was like an A from his head to butt and then toes. It was literally just like a triangle. It was amazing selling. I thought I'm not going to say Ricochet carried the match because Joe was amazing, but I think Ricochet's selling took it to another level, whereas if it had been someone else in this match, even doing the same offense as Ricochet, it wouldn't have been as good, because Ricochet selling, I think, was just absolutely next level. There's some aspects of this match that I really, really, really like. And then it was a bit slow to start with, for the crowd to really get into it. But then I put in my notes, if it picks up for the last 5 minutes, though, this could be really great. It did. It did pick up for the last 5 minutes. Ricochet fired up and hit like a hurricanrana, a springboard clothesline thing, a dive over the top rope, springboard missile dropkick, lion salt, all in one sequence, and then a near fall. I was like, that's awesome. He went for a 630, but then Joe got up, so he just dived onto his feet. And then Joe hit this hugely quick power slam. Just
the
straight round. The snap power slam looks so cool. Joe hits an awesome German suplex into a clothesline, and Ricochet goes flying again. It was all so much fun stuff. I love it. Ricochet went for a just like a normal like kick to the stomach. Joe caught his foot and then flipped him like 700,000 degrees, and Ricochet like flipped over and landed on his back. I thought that was amazing as well. Ricochet goes for another 630. Joe rolled out of the way. Joe went for a clothesline. Ricochet dodged that, hit a codebreaker onto him, and then a 630 for the win to become the new US champion. So we got Ricochet as the new US champ. Really like this.
Yeah.
I predicted Ricochet to win, so I was obviously happy with that. But I think he's could be a very good US champion, especially with what happened later in the night.
That's it, isn't it? We've had so many US champions, and we're like, oh yeah, Rusev's the US champion now. Nakamura's the US champion now. Joe's the US champion now. But actually, it's a cursed title. It has been for about 2 years.
That's
where
true.
People botch finishes, they don't do the pins right, there's injuries. Rey Mysterio was off after WrestleMania after becoming champion.
Yeah.
So just be careful. But the way they handled the post-match for this, does make it seem like they're going to do something with it. So first off was Ricochet getting backstage and there being a collection of baby faces. Seth Rollins, Kurt Hawkins, Zack Ryder, Carmella.
Yep.
They're all baby faces.
Heavy Machinery.
And
also...
And Charlotte.
And Charlotte.
What the hell was Charlotte
Why
doing
was
there?
she there?
When has she ever been a baby face? Well, she has been, but,
not in recent times.
recently. Not this year.
And also, she's been away for a bit. You'd thought, bring her back in some meaningful, shock return or something. Do something with her.
So weird. That was such a weird thing.
It's worse than coming back in a battle royal. To just have a backstage congratulating someone else on their win. Do something.
That goes against the character you were last time that we saw you. And then, so then Triple H came over to him and he did the "I am your daddy."
Yes.
And he touched heads and they hugged. Yay, that's nice.
NXT
and then I
talent.
thought, Charlotte's there because it's all the good NXT people. I was like, Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins are there. So I don't know what was happening. It was a sweet moment, though. And later on, Ricochet's getting his US title photo shoot. Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows walk in and sort of photo bomb it. And then AJ Styles walks in, sort of keeping that club plate spinning.
Yep.
And says, I'll see you on Raw.
Yeah. Don't really know whether... Yeah, very tasty. I don't really know whether he was, threatening him or just, reminding him to be just so you know, I'm also on Raw. Or he was just I don't know, maybe just as a friendly reminder, just I will see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, mate.
Yeah, see you tomorrow. No, but this was obviously I'll see you on Raw. And it's actually been confirmed now that we're going to get Ricochet versus AJ Styles on Raw tonight. So,
well, that's
cool.
Great. That's great. And yeah, I mean, that seems like a top-tier US title feud that they can have. So, especially if the club are involved as well and they keep that going.
Bold prediction, an upset Samoa Joe will cause a double DQ.
Ooh,
Three-way feud.
That's not very bold. That's definitely what's going to happen.
Three-way feud between Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, and Ricochet.
Wendy. So those baby faces in the gorilla position, two of them were Heavy Machinery, and it was a really nice transition where Heavy Machinery then just walked out from Gorilla for their match next.
Really liked it.
And this, again, was a fantastic bout with them against the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, Daniel Bryan and Rowan, mostly due to the crowd.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, psychologically, this was completely backwards.
Yeah.
And I don't really know why WWE booked it, considering Heavy Machinery are this new babyface tag team you're trying to get over. Because Washington was so into Daniel Bryan, he's their hometown boy, and whenever Bryan has done promos as a heel in Washington, he's a babyface in Washington. He's like, you guys are the smartest people, I'm talking to the rest of the world. So he's beloved. As soon as he comes out, he's the most over person on the entire show.
Oh yeah.
They're chanting, please recycle, drive a Prius.
Yeah.
Really funny chants.
So good, yeah.
And it's they weren't booing Heavy Machinery. They were booing them.
Oh yeah.
They were literally booing them.
Yes.
But really, they weren't booing them.
They were booing the opponents of Bryan that just so happened to be Heavy Machinery.
Perfectly said, yeah. So it was a really exciting match, though, and Daniel Bryan. Originally, it was Rowan starting off the match, but the crowd were going so crazy for Bryan. Rowan tagged him in, and it was a great moment.
Yeah. See, I was thinking when that moment happened, and I was like, WWE know that he's going to be a face. And I was like, they just did a big face moment where they're going to tag in Bryan so they can get a big pop from the crowd. They know what the crowd's like. Cool. So this is going to be a completely different match to what I'm expecting. And then after that, it was just well, I guess not. I guess they're just heels again. It was a bit, I don't know, it's a bit deflating because I was like, there's a moment where I was like, they know what they're doing. They understand this match. They understand the psychology, but then they didn't. It was a bit frustrating. But.
Yeah, because in the end, they just did Heavy Machinery standard WWE babyface match.
Yeah.
Where Tucker's worked over for a bit by the heels, which the whole crowd loved because they were cheering Bryan. And then it builds up to an Otis hot tag.
Yeah.
Which would have worked anywhere else, but not here. So either don't book it or book a different kind of match where it's more of a crazy brawl and you don't base the whole dynamic around the person that people aren't into being worked over and you're asking them to have sympathy for them.
Exactly, yeah.
But credit to Otis. He's so charismatic. When Bryan started doing the yes kicks to him and he's down on his knees, Otis starts to fire up in his little vibration way. Mm-hmm. And the crowd cheered him.
I know, yeah.
Actually cheered him.
Yep.
So that's how much charisma he has. Mm-hmm. But in the end, after some really good stuff from Tucker, top rope moonsault, the crossbody to the outside, Bryan rolled Tucker up for the win.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is good. Right people won. I think it would be too early for Heavy Machinery to win the titles. He won in his home state, I guess. That was good. And I think Heavy Machinery looked better for it. They managed to kind of hang with the SmackDown Tag Champions.
Yeah.
So they didn't look rubbish coming out of it, which is good.
It wasn't 100% effective just because of the crowd dynamic. But overall, it was really enjoyable. Mm-hmm. And it's just great to see people being over sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unfortunately, that's where the really, really good stuff stopped for the night. Mm-hmm. Next up, we got Bayley versus Alexa Bliss, and they played this video package. And I thought, thank God they had that Alexa Moment of Bliss segment with Bayley. Because otherwise, there would be nothing.
There's nothing, yeah.
It was all Nikki Cross and Alexa. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the story of this match. When it was Bayley and Alexa, I was actually quite into it. When it was Nikki Cross being involved, it just took me out right away.
Absolutely, yeah. I was the same for that. I think I said it on the Ramble for the actual Moment of Bliss segment. When it was Bayley and Alexa just firing back at each other, I was so into it. And as soon as they started... Sorry, Kenny. As soon as they started brawling and then Nikki got involved and pulled them up, I was like, oh yeah, Nikki's here as well. God, this is such a convoluted story. Nothing against Nikki Cross. I think she's awesome. But it's just the story they've told has just been so uninteresting and so convoluted. I'm just like, I just don't care. So I agree with you. I thought this match was fine. It started off pretty well, I think, because Bayley immediately goes over and just shoves Bliss, which I thought was a really nice moment because it kind of carried over the heat that they had beforehand with the brawl that they had on Moment of Bliss. And it wasn't just them just locking up at the start of a match, because I thought that would have been really boring if they did that. Which I thought was a good start. They're both just kind of shoving each other back and forth, bit of firing them, throw some punches. I was like, okay, this is a good start. I like it. And then it got a bit boring after that, I'd say. It was like a normal TV match, I want to say. There was some stuff in it to make it a little bit different, but I haven't made as many notes on this match because a lot of it's just this is just standard WWE wrestling match. There's nothing really noteworthy to talk about. The commentary was insufferable for this match. It was horrible. I hadn't really noticed it too much throughout the rest of the night thus far. I really noticed it in this match because it was just Graves and Saxton just bickering constantly. And I hated it so much because it was just Graves trying to defend Bliss about everything that she'd done. And Saxton being like, well, no, because this, that, and the other. I was like, just stop it. Just let me enjoy a wrestling match. I don't care whether you agree with this person or not. Let us decide who we want to agree and not agree with. Make them interesting characters so that you can fall on either side. You don't have to have clear-cut good guys and bad guys. Just... It got under my skin a little bit. But even so, there was still some good stuff in the match. There were some decent spots here and there that made it slightly different to a TV match, but it was nothing that made it better than average, I'd say.
Yeah, it was all mostly built into the end angle, which was Bayley dives for Bliss, takes out Cross. Mm-hmm. Bayley gets back inside. Bliss capitalizes. Bliss is going to go for the Twisted Bliss, but Nikki gets in, causes some distraction. Bayley gets the knees up and turns it into a victory in the end. So, yeah, it looks like this Nikki and Alexa stuff's going to continue. I don't know if Bayley will be a part of it because, of course, they're a Raw act.
Yeah.
They probably will be, though, because people get stuck in feuds these days.
Wild card. Yeah. I thought the finish was a bit weird. It was did Cross really cost Bliss? Because, Cross came in and distracted the initial attempt that she was going to go for Twisted Bliss, which meant that Bayley had a chance to recover. She went up to the top rope to attack Bliss. But Bliss punched her off, went back down, So then, like, it's
Yeah.
reset, so that now there's no distraction. Then she goes for the Twisted Bliss, and Bayley gets her knees up. So it's like, Cross didn't really cost her. It was just Bayley getting her knees up. Who's to say that wouldn't have happened on the first time? So I thought it was a bit, I don't know, it was a bit weird. It's not really Cross's fault that Bliss lost.
It didn't work in any way, really.
No.
Yeah. Then we got the 24/7 championship recap from Drake's wedding, which was great.
So funny.
So he lost
Absolutely
it, and
loved it.
R-Truth is champion again.
Just him just screaming, my wedding, my
Yeah.
wedding, just constantly. It was great.
Then we got the Ricochet US title photo shoot, which set up that AJ match. Then we got Reigns versus McIntyre with Shane McMahon
With Shane McMahon.
out there all the time.
This was fine.
I actually quite enjoyed it just because it wasn't their WrestleMania match.
This was better than their WrestleMania
so
match.
much better.
So much better.
Like Drew and Reigns start brawling immediately, but really Roman just wants to get to Shane. He starts chasing Shane around, almost chases him through the crowd. And then it sort of fits into the standard Roman template, where he is worked over for 80% of the match.
Yes.
But Drew was so good. That Alabama slam
Oh, that
onto
was
the
great.
commentary table.
Yeah.
There was a bit when he did a kip up.
Yeah,
But they were
yeah.
it was doing a sort of split screen replay, so you kind of missed it. But that's impressive. And there was
Absolutely.
another bit they were sort of fighting on the top turnbuckle, and Drew crunched up to headbutt Roman. It was all very good. But yeah, ultimately this was to put over Shane versus Roman.
Absolutely, yeah. And they constantly talked about Shane being on the outside. Shane ran distraction quite a few
Oh,
times.
so many times.
When
yeah.
the referee's back was turned, he was just getting cheap shots on Reigns and like choking him on the ropes and things like that. Renee had a great line with absolutely zero emotion saying, the numbers game is so unfair to Reigns. There's no way to overcome this.
That was too much inflection.
There's no way to overcome this.
That's more like it.
It was fine. But like you said, it was an unimportant match because it's setting up Roman v. Shane. Roman
Yeah.
versus Drew doesn't really matter at the end of the day.
Speaking of overcoming the odds, I did really like the finish. You know, if this was someone else, it would be an amazing end sequence to a match where you had Shane sort of cost him. How did it go? Roman kicked out, Superman punched Drew. The referee. Sorry, Reigns had it won after he hit a spear.
Yes.
And then Shane McMahon pulled the referee out.
Yeah.
And Roman ran wild for a bit. Drew laid him out. Oh no, it was a coast to coast.
Coast to coast.
I should have written down spot by spot.
Yeah, you should have. That's what I've done. Slightly weird though. I think they messed up the timing a little bit because Roman hit the spear. McIntyre like kicked out of the spear before Shane had pulled the ref out.
Yeah.
So it was a bit off because it was like, well, why did you pull the ref? McIntyre kicked out anyway. Like
Apparently, you can hear Drew saying, "I'm going to hit my finisher now as well,"
really.
or something to that effect.
Yeah.
To Shane.
Wow.
So
Okay.
yeah, I think that's when Shane gets in and
Yeah.
Roman chucks him out. Drew goes for the Claymore, but Roman spears him.
Yep.
And that's the win. So the commentary team then start putting over. They literally say these words. This is a definitive victory for Roman.
Yep.
Cole says that. Move over to Corey Graves. It's a final chapter.
Yeah.
Move over to Renee Young. I think Reigns is finally rid of Drew McIntyre.
Finally rid of Shane McMahon is what she said.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And I was like, brilliant. We're moving on from this then.
Yeah.
But later on, Shane and Drew are walking backstage and they're both angry. And Shane shouts at the camera, and actually quite a well-delivered promo. He grabbed the camera, it looked quite menacing, and said, 2-on-1 handicap match, me and Drew against you, Roman, next night on Raw.
Why does the Raw match have more stakes on it than the pay-per-view match that we just saw?
What stakes?
Well, there's more to it because Roman can finally get his hands on Shane.
I guess
it's
so.
like a much bigger deal because Roman has wanted to beat up Shane for ages. And now it's like, well, you can get that payoff now on Raw, not on Stomping Grounds. Also, if supposedly Shane is the draw, why wouldn't you have him wrestle on the pay-per-view instead of wrestling on Raw?
He wrestled the last time. Yeah. Super Showdown. Can't
wrestled-
have people wrestle the same people again and again and again.
That would never happen.
Yep. And then we got the Dolph Ziggler versus Kofi Kingston match for the WWE title inside a steel cage, which it went 20 minutes.
Did it really? My
Yeah.
goodness.
It was... I found it quite tedious at times.
Me too.
And that seems to be the general consensus online as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think if we all still bought into Ziggler, we wouldn't feel that way.
Yeah, that's fair.
But then again, most of the spots were just still, don't go that way.
Don't go to the
It
door.
was just like tussling.
Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't much in there.
There was a couple of points in this match where I was like, "Oh, that's cool," but like that's as far as it got. I wasn't like invested in much. There was a couple of bits where like they pushed each other into the cage and they did it with such like force, and I was like, "Oh, that looked like it hurt." Or like there was one time where Kingston pushed Kingston pushed Ziggler into like the metal poles rather than the actual like cage mesh, and I was like, "Oh, that looked like they didn't have any leeway on it at all." Or like there was one bit where Kofi was on the top, he dropped down to the top rope and then immediately hit a springboard crossbody, and I was like, that looks cool. But I was never invested in anything. I was like, those are some nice looking spots, but what does it mean if that doesn't carry over to anything meaningful?
Yeah, I think fundamentally it's no one buys into Ziggler. And that's, it's just the way Ziggler's been booked as someone who loses all the time and stop pushes for 15 years.
Yeah, exactly. And I think on a personal level as well, I can't get invested in cage matches because they have a door on them. Mm-hmm. The door is one of the worst rules to be put into a cage match ever because it makes zero sense. Because even with the finish of the match, which we'll get onto in a second, like, if you can just have the door open by asking the door to be opened, if your opponent starts to climb out of the cage on the other side, just walk to the door and get out. You'll get out quicker than your opponent. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. It robs any like logical progression. And then you get to something like the finish here, where both of them were tussling to get out of the ring through the door. Kofi at one point got super kicked by Ziggler and almost fell out of the door, which also doesn't make sense because normally you'd have to ask for the door to be opened. But because Kingston fell near it, sure, open the door, why not?
It's motion activated.
Of course, yeah. Of course it must be. So then they're both trying to like grab each other, getting out the ring. Ziggler's like crawling towards it. He manages to kick Kofi, and Kofi falls to the other side of the ring, and Ziggler's right there at the door. So Kofi just gets up and runs last minute and dives through the ropes onto the outside, which on paper is really cool. It looked nice.
Yes.
Fits Kofi. It was a cool like, oh, didn't see that coming. That was nice. But then if you think about it for like 5 seconds, like, why didn't you do that earlier? Why couldn't you just say at the start of the match, hey ref, open the door.
Yeah.
Done. Like that's the match. And if they wanted to play it up like this was a really dangerous spot for Kingston and he only did it as a last resort because so dangerous or whatever. But as soon as he did, the commentator was like, hey, Kofi won. Nice, awesome. And then he gets up and everyone's happy and celebrating and I was like, so why didn't you just do that then? It really looks nice on paper, but as soon as you think about it, it falls apart. And that ruined it for me. But like I said, this match was a bit boring, had some nice spots. Right person won, thank God. But there wasn't too much in it for me, honestly. And I hate that because I really like Kofi Kingston. And at one point, I really liked Ziggler. But just now, where they just seems a bit uninspired.
Oh, yeah, for a long time. Yeah. He had one last ditch at it when it was his career on the line against The Miz.
Yeah.
I think that was 2016.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that was like the last. I feel that's where everyone finally gave up.
I would even say there was a slight glimmer when he had the US title and then gave that up.
No. That was not good. The finish, I totally agree with you. Looks good on paper. And when you see it, you're like, wow, I personally haven't seen that before. Apparently, Ospreay and Austin Aries have both done it.
Oh, really?
As finishes.
Didn't
But
know
it's really cool and quite something. Kingston just landed on his shoulder.
Yeah.
Took all the brunt of it when he landed on the floor. But it both makes the gimmick of the steel cage match stupid, like you said. But I think I was more left with a feeling of, so the WWE Championship is actually just who can get through a door fastest.
Yep.
And it made the title feel a bit rubbish.
Yeah.
And that's
hated
sort of the worst way you can go. And then the main event was the Seth Rollins Corbin stuff, which was, a 5-star all-time classic.
Absolutely.
Overall, I gave this show thumbs in the middle, so 3 out of 5. I thought it was a great, like a couple of really good matches there. Chiefly Owens and Zayn versus Heavy Machinery. I love the Cruiserweight title match.
Owens and Zayn versus Heavy Machinery? It's a match I want to see, but it's not what happened.
Just the New Day. Ricochet winning and the sort of post-match stuff they did with that.
Yep.
The Bryan reaction. Though that was the real great stuff. But the other stuff was either middling or actually quite frustrating with the Lacey Evans reveal.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Couldn't add much more to that. But yeah, 3 out of 5 for me. Love the first hour and a half to 2 hours of the show. But the ending feeling, I think if this had been flipped, if the first hour of this had been a bit boring, and then the last 2 hours had been amazing, building up to the main event being the best match on the card, it would have been a 4 out of 5 show for me, easily. Possibly even 5, because you can forgive an opening hour being a bit boring. But because it started off hot and got worse, and it leaves you with that kind of like, at the end of it, it just goes way down. It's just what happens, unfortunately.
I've got to say, one massive positive, though. This was a 3 1/4 hour show.
I got up this morning, woke up at 3:30 in the morning, and I was like, it was a bit early. But and then I got up for a bit, did some other stuff, and I was like, right, I should probably sit down and watch Stomping Grounds. I was like, oh, it's probably not finished yet. Because I knew it was going to start at like, midnight or 1 a.m. or something. I was like, 4 a.m., I doubt it's probably going to be finished yet. Went on the network and I saw it was 3 hours 15. I was like, oh my God, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So this is a good length for a WWE show.
Absolutely.
And everyone's saying, wow, the crowd were really hot throughout. Is that because of the 6,000-7,000 hardcore fans that were there? Or is it because it was a normal span of human attention that you can operate with?
Yeah.
But what did you guys think? Let's go over to Randy Andy Datson for the super chat.
It was actually scheduled for 4 hours, so it's interesting
Really?
they went that short.
I hope they keep that up.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And also, did you see that Bryan Alvarez was at the show and said that they didn't have any Titantron at all.
Yeah.
So no one could see inside the cage, which is why everyone went so quiet during that match.
And because it was a bit boring anyway.
Yeah.
And also there were only one report suggesting only 6,000 people there, and there with a capacity of 18,000. Yes. Anyway, super
ideal.
chats. Sparks Entertainment says, disappointed not to see Truth last night. #booking.
Yeah, it could have been a fun backstage bit. Yeah.
Jean-Luc Ucard says, if we're going this couples route, would much rather see Seth and Becky versus Andrade and Charlotte.
Yeah, I mean, that would be a great spot for Andrade to be in. And the Becky, I know people are tired of it, but I'd much rather have Becky and Charlotte over Becky and Lacey.
Absolutely, yeah. I like it as a short-term thing, maybe like a one pay-per-view cycle. Have that as a feud and then separate. Maybe just do like a Seth Andrade feud. Think they're on different brands, but what matters? Wild cards.
Jobber J. No, sorry, that's the next one. Chillin' with Macmillan says they have an opportunity to make me care about the US title again. I hope they set up a triple threat between Ricochet, AJ Styles, and Joe at SummerSlam.
Yeah, that seems to be the direction. So hopefully.
Yeah. Fingers crossed they can make it
Casey.
work. What?
It's Casey.
Oh, Casey Catanzaro is Ricochet's girlfriend. Right, okay.
Thank you very much. Jobber JJ says, do you think Joe lost count because he'll face Kofi?
Samoa Joe?
No, lost because he'll face.
Oh, lost Kofi. Because he'll face Kofi? No.
I mean, I was going to say Joe's on Raw, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yes.
But not that stopped anyone. No, I think they'll probably go back to Owens.
Yeah. Owens or Zayn, or both.
Justin and Zaldua has donated, and then he has written $5, but that's more than he donated. So thank you, Justin.
Thanks.
Cheers, Justin.
Devanti Lee says, well, guys, I went to the show last night and had a blast. It was so fun live. My voice was destroyed cheering for Daniel Bryan and booing Heavy Machinery. Pretty much everyone there had a wrestling shirt.
Yeah, it sounds like a really hardcore crowd. Yeah. And yeah, sometimes you can just have your own fun.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, yeah, if I was there in person, no doubt I'd have come back and be like, 5 out of 5 show. Best show ever.
Jeffrey Pridemore says, I was thinking, who can Seth not beat up? Lacey Evans. WWE's hammering home the Seth-Becky relationship. Nah, that's too much of a stretch.
Yeah, well, never set your bar too low for WWE.
Sergeant Matty says, thank you, Ollie and Pete, for making my job much more easy going before my vacation. Also, Bayley Sting debut at SummerSlam.
No.
I
mean, she seems to be a bit more aggressive that the commentary are putting over consistently throughout that match.
That's true.
New side of Bayley, so much more
and
aggressive.
And she pushed
now.
Nikki at the end.
She did. So, it's coming. It's coming.
Six-fingered Jake says, so that means no cash in until SummerSlam. Or SummerSlam, as he written.
Probably.
Hey, there's Extreme Rules.
But yeah, probably.
And there's plenty of Raws.
So is that too extreme?
Chances are they want Lesnar for one of the big four. So, yep, probably.
Show up on NXT.
Yeah, of course.
Nate Drops Surname says...
Can we take it to AEW?
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Nate Dropped Surname says, they said Kofi has never won a cage match, and I realise that's because he's built his career on both feet not hitting the floor in the Rumble. Glad he learned. I like that.
That's very good comment.
He still went shoulder first, though.
He did. Eventually, his both feet hit the floor.
Landed for handstand, and Dolph had got out.
Controversy.
Mr. Doback says, Doback here. Hello, Doback.
Hi, Doback.
What's up?
Kenneth Longstrith says, Alexa Bayley double turn coming up.
I don't think so.
I don't...
I mean, what is Alexa anyway? She double turns every week.
Yeah, I know. I could sort of see the seeds of that in this match. I could see where you got that idea from. I don't think they're going to do it, but I could see how you'd see that. Bayley's more aggressive, and you could have like Nikki turn on Alexa or something like that. Sure.
Yeah. Dustin S. Gooding says, love the WrestleTalk universe. Now that we've had Super Letdown and Coffee Grounds, will we be getting a mixed tag main event at Extreme Fools?
Extreme Fools. I like that. I wonder what the tagline's going to be.
Oh, they already said it. Did you not
it?
Pick up on it? Let me see if I can find it.
Really extreme.
It is. It's a really bad one. I'm just going to prep you with that one. I think they said it was... I can't see it, but I think from memory it said... the one night of the year where WWE gets extreme. Bearing in mind they had a cage match and a no DQ match on this card.
Nice.
And TLC.
Yep.
Limps says that this pay-per-view wasn't so bad, though like the recent Raw, this should be what's normal. Cheers, Faf Nation, and Tomo and Blake Ham, you perfect piece of crap.
Yes.
Tomo went to sleep. Which is a first.
That,
yeah, he
okay.
was, but it's very. He had to get up in a few hours, so he had to go to bed. But,
well, thanks, Tomo.
Yeah. But Blake Ham, you're a piece of crap.
Blake Ham, you're a piece of crap.
Yeah. What was the question?
Yeah, so that this should be the normal standard for pay-per-views.
Yes,
We shouldn't be surprised.
To be honest, this should be. Yeah, I think maybe this should be a normal standard. I would have distributed the quality more to the main event pictures.
Exactly, yeah.
Sean Turner back in, say, I would have preferred an unconscious EC3 as the ref.
That would
Me
that
too.
would have been funny.
You've seen his latest tweet.
Yeah, I have. It's
What did
really
he
John
say?
sad.
Cena was like, follow your dreams, and he was like, well, dreams can become nightmares.
He's so sad.
I don't know if he's being serious or not. That's the thing. Fergal McClement says, pretty sure a few days ago Ollie said the women's is the only division not to be pulled into the Baron Corbin vortex.
Yes, well, I don't know why I say anything.
Yeah, because they clearly watch.
Card subject to change.
Mr. One says, have you guys ever watched your Ramble reviews before rewatching a good match? It made my Okada Omega Wrestle Kingdom rewatch so much sweeter.
Oh,
No.
what? Watching my own opinions before I then rewatch
No.
a match. No, I haven't.
No.
That sounds... I don't really like
Watching
watching
yourself
myself.
jog.
Yeah.
Ben Greenwood, terrible at predicting, or on time anyway. Got all my predictions correct except for Roman winning, but was it just me, or did this make Drew look really, really bad?
Not really bad.
No.
And that sort of ship has sailed for
Yeah.
protecting Drew, unfortunately.
Nate Drop Surname says, Becky only came down because Lacey's arm lingered too long in Seth's crotchal region.
She's just jealous. That's all
He
it
was
is.
touching
Yeah.
his southern
Yeah.
belle. I'm quite proud of that one. Kay Amal says, Michael Cole. By the way, Becky is Seth's lady partner.
No, really?
Yeah.
Don't think he ever said that.
Ah,
Also,
makes sense.
the first words that he said of the night were "It's time to kick ass and take names," and I was already mad as soon as the show started.
Hot take,
John
Michael
Marth
Cole.
says, thought Becky would have put on a ref shirt and counted the win for Seth. And I'm not sure if I think that would have been lame or cute. Your thoughts?
Lame.
That would have been lame.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just, it's not really into the thing.
Not really into Seth
No.
Rollins. Seth Rollins. Seth Lynch.
She would also have had to have one in her pocket because Lacey wouldn't have been. Anyway. Ty Davis says, thoughts on a Ricochet versus Buddy Murphy feud? They're on the wrong brands.
Does that matter?
I mean, that would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love it.
Like, Buddy Murphy is such a muscly, strong guy. I'm sure he could chuck Ricochet everywhere and still do all
absolutely.
the flips with him.
Yeah.
John DiPietro says, how do you decide what Funko Pops are on the desk?
It's just kind of been Finn and Kenny for a while.
Yeah, it has. I mean, we sometimes switch them around to Nintendo Amiibos for Screen Stalker content, but yeah, generally it's like, do we have any more to put on there?
We just make it up on the day, really.
Yeah,
I have
just
one on
kind of
my
grab
desk.
some, put them on there.
Mike Dempsey says, great pay-per-view. Put Shingo versus Ospreay in with the same quality. It would only be 4 stars. WWE and Triple H did great.
I'm glad you liked it so much. Yeah.
That's great.
I did, just the last hour and the 2 big title matches were a letdown to me.
Yeah.
Mrs. S says, was good to see Sammy and KO win clean. Was a decent match.
Oh, it was a great match.
Much more than
Yes.
decent, and
Loved
yes,
it.
it was great seeing win clean.
Yeah. I think it was the only match on the card that I was like, ooh, and I probably made a noise too. Nate dropped surname says, Seth and Becky wedding is SummerSlam incoming.
Did you get, when, because they were celebrating together for so long, did you think, is Becky turning? Like, if Seth had a chair with him, I would have been like, he's turning on her.
Yeah, no. I didn't get that, but I was waiting for them to kiss, which never came. So,
Kiss.
Weird.
yeah.
Stuart Bryant says, would you want to see Bray Wyatt turn on the opponents he beats into characters on Firefly Funhouse?
No.
No.
Okay. Benny Sato's
Might happen tonight, though, the debut.
You never know.
Benny Sato, who's Tomo's #1 fan, says, shout out to the Leon?
Kenda Leon?
Anyway, because apparently it's enough to talk about for 8 minutes. Lol.
Oh, right. There we go. That's it. Mine and Luke's personalised Patreon video to Benny Sato was about the fast food chain Leon.
It is.
Of course.
Good.
It's very good.
chicken
Halloumi
nuggets.
wraps are great.
Seth says, welcome Seth, by the way. Rebrand back to that WrestleTalk to that WrestleTalk show.
I don't want to do that.
Ollie loves that name.
I can't believe I called it that.
The Chesh, thank you very much for your donation.
Thank you.
Mike Dempsey says, inconceivable. I don't know what he's referring to, but probably something we were talking about.
Inconceivable.
Around
I agree.
just before or after the Ali video.
Inconceivable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that word means what you think it means.
Inconceivable.
Tim Arndt says, the implication I got with the Ali videos was that he cured a woman's alcoholism just by looking at her. He must have the omnipotence to rival Shane's.
Yeah, but Shane uses his powers for bad.
Exactly. Maybe Ali will be the force of good that stops Shane's reign of terror.
Shane can
He only stopped one. That guy still got mugged. That
True.
guy still assaulted his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Shane can't be drunk though because
But
he
he
sweats it all
watched.
out.
Yeah.
But he watched and he learned. He's got the power of knowledge. That's what his power
Curious to
is.
see what the next episode
Ow, I
is.
hit the desk.
Sean Turner says next rival for Kofi should be Ortan. Mock Kofi, RKO him, then sorry. Your spelling is good. Mock Kofi, RKO him, then next week Randy brings his car, give the keys to the valet, then Randy has flashbacks.
Flashbacks. What's the car thing? Why would he have flashbacks?
I don't know. Because Kofi and Randy's feud before, years and years ago, when Kofi threw paint on Randy's brand new car that he just got.
Good memory.
Well done, Sean.
I really do think Randy should face Kofi
Absolutely.
as soon as possible. It's a ready built feud for
And I'd
Kofi.
much rather see that than Owens again, for now.
The next message is a continuation of this.
Okay.
Randy remembers past cars, decides
Here we
to
go.
leave, to not happen again, gets paranoid, and ends up getting in a kayfabe accident and blames Kofi. Match set for pay-per-view.
Book it, Vince.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, it would probably be better than the WrestleMania women's main event storyline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Probably
chucking
better than
a
that.
few arrests and suspensions in there.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sean. I'm only mocking your spelling because of you invented Bayley Sting. Mike Dempsey says, no Bray till SummerSlam then.
I mean, you
No
got time.
Bray?
Well, it's been a very raw thing, so I'm sure they'll bring it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've still got time. Still got Extreme Rules before SummerSlam, yeah. So.
Christopher Beasley says, here is one better. Seth and Becky versus Brock and Sable.
Ooh.
No.
Yeah.
They've never really recognised that Brock is married to Sable, or that he could love a woman.
It's not canon.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Mainly that.
Mike Dempsey says, what would their mixed match tag team names be if it was Brock and Sable and Burn It?
Label.
I was going to say Babel, but yeah.
Yeah.
Burn the Man. Burning Man.
Burning Men.
Burn the man.
The Men's.
Man it down.
Did Sable have a nickname?
And the Sexy Beast.
Burning Man versus the Sexy Beast. That's cool.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect.
Derek B says, I truly feel bad for Joe. He could be a top guy. And then Mike
he
Dempsey
could.
jumps in with, he is a top guy. People are arguing on the super chats now.
Yeah.
He is, unfortunately, not a top guy.
He could be.
He's only won one US title. That's the only gold he's had on the main roster. And that was nothing.
And he had such a good run in 2017
few
as well.
times.
With that.
Twice.
That's a few.
Yeah. And one was Rey Mysterio just gave it to him.
Hey, that's good. Sure, Sam Cropper, thank you very much for your donation.
Thank you,
Nate
Sam.
dropped surname back in. You're being very generous today, Nate. Thank you very much. As is Mike Dempsey, as you'll see in a minute. Great breakdown of the match. Pete, Chopper number 1.
Don't know which match, but thank you.
Chop you later.
It's not a thing.
I think it was the Sami Zayn one.
Possibly.
Mrs. S says, do you think WWE will or should put Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn into the tag division? I, for one think that would be a great move for them.
Yeah, I already said that. Yeah.
that would be class, yeah. To mix it up with, well, the likes of the New Day, like they did on Stomping Grounds. Yeah, I'd be well into that.
The next 5 messages are from Mike Dempsey.
Wow.
To start, he says, Meltzer hates Dunn, as do I. I enjoyed this pay-per-view more than WrestleMania, damn it. Battle of the Butts. Sorry, not sorry. I think he was being a bit unnecessary about Bayley and Alexa there. Chopper is the best one-piece character. And then he just says, Trash Panda.
Wow.
Okay.
That is a string of messages.
That is a string of messages.
I'm guessing when you say Meltzer hates Dunn, you mean Kevin Dunn.
Kevin Dunn? Pete Dunn.
Not Pete Dunn.
No,
Because
or
Meltzer loves
David Dunn, former Blackburn Rovers midfielder.
Or Damien Dunn, a.k.a. No Fun Dunn.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Or my old science teacher, Mr. Dunn. Nate dropped surname says, Bayley looks like a bully shoving Nikki down after.
Well,
Maybe. Is
I
she?
don't know. I'm not really into any of their characters because they're being weirdly morphed to fit a story that doesn't.
I can't see Bayley. Whenever she tries to be grumpy, she just sounds like a grumpy child rather than like an angry person.
She can only be very, very happy.
Yeah.
That's the only one I want.
Kid of Albion or Kid Awful Bion says best technical wrestler Brett Benoit Daniels?
Daniel Bryan.
Daniel Bryan or
Bryan,
Christopher
maybe.
Daniels possibly or AJ.
Oh, best technical wrestler would probably be Benoit.
Yeah.
Judas Black says Ziggler versus Kofi was the match of the night. No, it wasn't, Judas. You know it was. That's why you're called Judas.
Yeah, I found it a bit boring.
Cool if it was for you, but
Yeah.
it was not for us.
Devanti Lee says during the Kofi match, the people around me were talking about how we couldn't remember if someone ever won from escaping through the door. Pretty
They
sure
do it all the
have.
time.
Yeah,
All the
and
time they
usually
escape through
just
the door.
roll out, don't
Or
they?
Yeah.
get pushed through
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever.
John Cena nearly got out the door before he was stopped by a singing child in his feud with Bray Wyatt.
Oh,
so you
God.
know.
Mike Dempsey back in again, saying if Brock showed up, it would have been a 5 out of 5. He then says, by the way, not enough Randy Andy this afternoon. Well, you're having plenty of me now. There you go. So,
Yeah.
And Invasion was not so bad, because there was a sign.
There's a sign on the show.
crowd.
It said the invasion wasn't that bad. I mean, as someone who doesn't really remember the invasion, but does know that I've watched the invasion countless times because it was the one show we had on videotape when I was a kid. So I've just seen the invasion. Nothing before, nothing after. So I think the invasion is awesome. But yeah, that's because I have a very warped and biased perspective of it. So
It could have been a lot better.
yeah.
I mean, I wasn't allowed to watch wrestling until I was about 10. And
Yeah.
every time I did, Mum would walk in and go, Andrew, what are you watching now? I'm like, okay. Denzel Vance, thank you very much for your donation.
Thank
Tim
you.
Arndt says, should Kofi's next opponent be Bray?
No, I don't,
No, I
because
can't see
one
them
of them would
together.
have to lose.
Yeah.
And, Kofi shouldn't lose until it's Shane McMahon. And
Shane.
Bray,
will.
should do something else.
Honestly, though, I wouldn't mind Bray being the one to beat Kofi. Probably not at Extreme Rules. If it was like SummerSlam. And I say if Kofi has a reign from WrestleMania to SummerSlam,
That's a good innings,
That's
yeah.
not bad. And Bray can win it there and assert himself as a star once
Yeah.
again. I'd be okay with it.
6 more then. Love Toast says, hey guys, missed most of this, sorry. I felt the last match was too predictable after Lacey was announced as a special guest. Ruined it for me.
Yeah,
It was.
It was very formulaic.
Yeah.
You could see exactly where it was going after that.
Mike Dempsey says, Ollie got it.
Ollie got it.
Ollie got it?
Maybe
You got
understood-
it.
Did you understand something earlier that he said?
And you got it.
You got it though, Ollie.
Yeah, you got it, man.
Josh Saloom. thank you.
Inconceivable. Was it inconceivable?
Inconceivable.
Who knows? I'm really happy that Ricochet won, says Josh Saloom, even though I would have liked it to be longer and I didn't get a point for that match. How much longer would you have wanted the match to go, if at all? Have a fantastic week, gents. You too, Josh.
I actually think it was pretty decent length. Honestly, maybe like an extra 2-3 minutes, but that's all. I don't think it should have gone much longer than that for a US title match. That is. No, I don't think they needed much more.
Would you rather have Bray on Raw or SmackDown, says Ralph Marion?
It feels like a Raw thing.
It
I
does
don't know why.
very much feel like a Raw thing.
And I just Raw would be so bad without those Firefly.
I don't think they'd
Funhouse
have
segments.
Bray on the Fox Sports version.
Yeah, it's a fair point.
Mike Dempsey again says, I hate Kevin Dunn.
Cool.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
And lastly, John DiPietro, Randy Datson, number 2 fan, says, Ollie, can you make a bio video of WrestleTalk?
Like a documentary of the whole story.
Yeah, from the
of
beginning.
of it. We've got a lot of other things to do.
We should probably do that for like 1 million subscribers.
Yeah. Well, thank you
Pencil that
very
in.
much for all your super chats. Remember to go and pick up your WrestleTalk Almanac Volume 2, a compendium of loads and loads of wrestling stats from the year that's just passed. Go and pre-order that at WrestleTalk.bigcartel.com. And click the videos that have just appeared on the desk to catch up with the latest awesome WrestleTalk things. And this button right here, which will make you a pledge hammer on Patreon. Luke is back tomorrow from Peru. But for now, I've been Ollie Davis. This has been Chopper Pequenell. Over there was WrestleTalk.com's Randy Andy Datson. And that was Rambling. That was the Ramble Show. That was the Ramble Show.
Kicking
and
ass and
now
taking
we're
names.
gonna